أهلا بكم. تتعاظم أجواء التذبذب التي تعيشها أسعار النفط على خلفية المتغيرات السوقية والسياسية. ملف أناقشه مع ضيفي من لندن السيد نيل أتكنسون مدير الأبحاث في قسم الطاقة في مؤسسة داتا مونيتور. سيد أتكنسون أهلا وسهلا بك من جديد. ارتفاع مستويات المخزونات الأمريكية بشكل هائل في أكبر زيادة شهرية في 14 عام، وإنتاج سعودي في مارس عند 10 مليون و300 ألف برميل هوت بالأسعار هذا الأسبوع. هل النفط سيبقى عالقا في دوامة التذبذبات الحادة؟
It's very hard to see how oil prices can go anywhere else other than down from here and at best stay roughly in the range we've seen in the last few weeks. In your question, you nailed it really by making the point about the ever rising US crude oil stocks, which are destined to increase even further. And even more importantly for the direction of the oil market, the fact that Saudi Arabia's oil production has hit a very high level, and it's a clear indication that Saudi Arabia remains committed to its market share policy, which it's made clear will be its policy for the foreseeable future. That combination of factors, rising US production, rising US stocks, high Saudi Arabian and indeed other Gulf Arab oil producers, means that prices are going to remain under pressure.
هذا الأسبوع نفسه شهد أيضا الحديث عن صفقة شراء شل لمجموعة بي ب 70 مليار دولار. البعض رأى فيه إشارة إلى قرب بلوغ الأسعار القاع، والبعض يعارض ويرى أننا سنرى المزيد من صفقات الاندماج والاستحواذ لأن الأسعار ستبقى في هذه المستويات. ما رأيك؟
Well, I don't think the acquisition by Shell of BG can be taken that as an indicator that prices have bottomed out. We just don't know that yet. But what we do know for sure is that this deal, which has been talked about on and off for quite a few years now, it's a long-term deal. It's not dependent on today's oil price or the oil price next week or next month. It's a strategic move by Shell to buy important assets in places around the world where they either don't have a presence already or the BG assets enhance their presence. So, for example, Shell is now getting an enhanced presence in Brazil. It's gaining a presence in Egypt. And there are other assets of the BG group in Australia, for example, where Shell will enhance its presence. This is a long-term strategic move by Shell, and it should not be taken as a fact that prices are bottoming out and from now on they're going to rise and assets will start to earn even higher returns. We don't know that yet.
متغير آخر يتم الحديث عنه اليوم في السوق أنه نتيجة الاتفاق النووي الإيراني يقال بأنه دخول معروض جديد إلى السوق يقدر ب 700 ألف برميل سيكون العام المقبل. هذا من شأنه أن يهوي بالأسعار ما بين 5 إلى 15 دولار. ما هي نظرتكم؟
Well, it seems inevitable that there are going to be more barrels from Iran. We don't yet know what the shape of the final deal will be between the P5+1 and Iran. But it does seem inevitable there will be an increase in shipments from Iran. Now, as far as other producers are concerned, we are still expecting that production will continue to grow from the United States, although at a lower rate. We still expect that other producers from the Middle East region, such as Saudi Arabia and the other Gulf producers, will fight to retain market share. So unless there is a big improvement in the prospects for global oil demand, all this pressure of extra and higher supply in the latter half of 2015 and into 2016 can only mean, I believe, that prices are going to remain heavily under pressure. And it is very difficult to see how crude oil prices can make a significant upward movement from where they are now for Brent in the mid-50s and WTI around $50 a barrel, how they can make a significant upward movement unless there is some major political catastrophe or some kind of major political event.
من هنا وتقنيا ما هي حواجز الأسعار الأهم التي يراقبها المتعاملون اليوم سواء على برنت أو على خام غرب تكساس لاستشفاف مستويات الأسعار المستقبلية؟
Well, I think it's very difficult to be clear as to what these price barriers are because the situation is so flexible, there is so much flux. And quite frankly, as we move through the summer and the oil refineries move into their turnaround season where they do maintenance work, Demand for crude may come down. Production may continue to rise from the US. Saudi Arabia will continue to fight for market share. It is very, very difficult to see if we've reached a bottom or in fact there's more of we haven't yet got there. It is very, very hard to see where we're going. As far as the upside is concerned, it's much easier to lay out what we think the ceiling is. And I think we've seen in 2015 so far that the highest price for Brent that Brent has closed at is about $63 a barrel. And currently we're very nearly $10 a barrel below that. So that 63 could well be a top. The bottom, I'm not even sure we've got there yet. The prospective deal with the P5+1 and Iran is another complicating factor, which we weren't clear was going to be the case a couple of weeks ago. So we haven't yet, I believe, necessarily tested the bottom.
أخيرا، هل ترى الأسواق أي مؤشرات على أن أوبك بوارد تغيير سياستها في اجتماع الصيف المقبل في يونيو؟
Well, the meeting isn't until the 5th of June, which is still a couple of months away. It is very, very difficult to see that there will be any change in policy on the part of Saudi Arabia and its Gulf allies. And if there is no change by them, it's very unlikely that OPEC collectively is going to be able to overturn that. The other OPEC members, such as Nigeria and Venezuela, some of the other producers, just no longer have the same amount of influence and power that they had some years ago. All the cards are in the hands of Saudi Arabia, and there is no sign of a change in their policy. And from this distance, 2 months ahead of the OPEC meeting, it is very, very hard to see that there will be any change in the stance of the OPEC member countries.
من لندن السيد نيل أتكنسون، مدير الأبحاث في قسم الطاقة في مؤسسة داتا مونيتور، شكرا جزيلا لك.